Hey Cadillac fans, welcome to the third video of my series on modifications for your third gen Cadillac CTS. Today it's performance and handling mods. Up next. Performance mods are probably one of the most popular modifications to do to your car. I mean, sometimes the car comes out of the factory looking good and performing okay, but sometimes they had to cut some corners for costs or to fit the car into their hierarchy, and maybe you just want a little more horsepower or better braking or better handling or something. So thankfully there's a lot of innovators out there who have made modifications for the Cadillac CTS. Now, when it comes to horsepower, there's not a lot you can do for the LF3 motor in the VSport. It just doesn't react well to modifications, but there are some people working on bigger turbos, adding meth, more fuel, but it's been over a year and we haven't seen any results for that yet, but hopefully this year we'll see something soon. But since nothing's out yet, I'm not going to include those in this video. Now, you might usually think of performance upgrades in terms of horsepower, but people that go around the road course at the track, they know that besides more experience behind the wheel, to get faster lap times, you get better handling and braking modifications. So let's take a look at those. Now, one modification that not only looks good, but may help you handle better is lowering the car. I'm running D3 lowering springs, and although those aren't available anymore for V-Sports, you can use any CTS-V lowering springs available. As for the other models, I'm not quite sure which springs are available for you. Springs will help lower your center of gravity, and increased spring rate may result in better handling. The brakes on the car are another great place to get faster lap times. If you're going to go fast, you need to be able to stop, and your first upgrade should be the pads to something more worthy for the track, and then maybe consider some slotted rotors. If you want for your CTS, you can actually upgrade to Ats-v or CTS-V brakes. That's an expensive upgrade and not necessary if you're not tracking your car, and honestly not even necessary there. Good pads is your priority. You may want to just consider doing the rear brake upgrade to get those 4-piston Brembos back there. They come off the Ats-v or Camaro SS. Another thing you can do to improve your lap times is get stickier tires. These are Bridgestone Potenza RE71R tires. They're the softest street legal tire you can use in competition, and they're super soft with stiff sidewalls, but I have to admit they wear out fast and they're kind of noisy, but boy, they are sticky. For ultra high performance summer tires that'll last a little longer and better for daily use, most are pretty happy with the performance of the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S or Continental Extreme Contact DWs. I've used both and I think they're great. Now, another thing that can help the handling of your CTS is to get better sway bars. Renick Performance sells the CTS-V sway bars that definitely work on the V-Sport. I'm not sure about the other CTS models, but if you want, you can just get the factory CTS-V rear sway bar. You see, the car has a tendency to understeer, especially in tighter corners, and adding a rear sway bar will help deal with that just a little bit. They're pretty cheap, about $125 to your door for the GM one. Lastly, if you want better track times, you may consider a front end alignment to help with that understeer. You can get maximum camber of 1.7 degrees, and Vorschlag is working on right now a CTS Camber Plate to really give you a lot of extra camber. On the CTS, it doesn't really help much, especially with the V-Sport, and that's because the ECU always looks at the horsepower, and if it sees any extra horsepower being made, it's going to reel it back with the throttle or boost control. And then you're really not making any extra horsepower, right? But, you know, still, you want to make the car sound good, so a lot of people put exhaust modifications, because when the car sounds fast, it feels fast. Now, I used to have some exhaust work, but I'm running pretty much stock right now. I used to have catless downpipes, and I thought they would create more horsepower, but they just didn't, even with the tune. And they were a little raspy at the high end. But otherwise, they sounded just like if you were to get aftermarket mufflers. So I took those out, now I don't have to worry about my smog inspections, and I've still got one little modification, and that is my Expipe. I deleted it and replaced it with 2 parallel resonators, and now that my car's totally stock, but except for those resonators, there is just a little extra grunt over stock, and I kind of like it. Now, when it comes to hard parts, a lot of people think of cold air intake, right? Get a little more air in there, make the car make more horsepower. Well, same thing. This car won't make more horsepower with an intake. Even with a tune, we haven't really seen any significant gains with an intake. This is my custom-made intake. ZZP also makes an intake, but even some people say that maybe it makes a little less horsepower. So this is less of a performance mod and maybe more of an appearance mod, but it sure does make the engine look good, and it makes a little bit of whistling sound. And again, if your car sounds fast, it feels fast. All right, the last and final performance modification, and it is the #1 jet fuel only modification for the Cadillac CTS, and that is the Trifecta Tune. That's the tune you upload with your own laptop, and it adds about 80 horsepower to the car, and boy, you can feel it. The car drives great. 99% of tuned VSports have the Trifecta Tune, and just about everybody is really happy with them. Also, great customer support there. There are Trifecta tunes for other Cadillac CTSs as well, so be sure to look into those. All my links in the description below. All right, that's it for the performance and handling modifications on the Cadillac CTS. I hope you learned a lot. This concludes my 3-part series on over 50 modifications for your Cadillac CTS, and we've got the jet fuel only top 5 mods. Now, was there any mods that I missed? Let me know in the comments section, and feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when my next video comes out. Thanks so much for watching the Jet Fuel Only channel. I'll see you next time.
Tree hard by Daniel Stalkup takes the win. He goes 0-31 on the tree.